Hey everyone, this is our weekly Friday Misery Loves Company social reading series. If you're watching this later on YouTube, every week every Friday we have readings from outsider and transgressive writers. I think that's what we're calling it. This week is kind of an odd one because we didn't have anyone sign up for this one in advance, so this is going to be entirely open mic. I did have a couple of people offer to read before we started recording here. So, John, you're up first.
All right, cool. I'm gonna read a chapter from my novel that's coming out with House of Vlad in spring, maybe summer,
Awesome.
and it attached to the doc is the book cover, which I just got today, which I'm pretty stoked on.
Oh, I
Uh,
think you might have, you put a link in the chat, but I think you might have set the permission settings
okay, my bad.
so that we can't, no, it's not a big deal, but if you can just,
Uh, okay, how's that?
let me see. Perfect.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I guess all you really need to know is the main character is in a car with his aunt, who he's in love with, and his best friend, who is also in love with his aunt. And they're about to kidnap his daughter through sperm donation in order to get a kidney for his aunt. So I'll just get started from there. You can hear the ash shh on the wide windshield of the Crown Victoria. On the news, they say the fire is dying. Since the sperm bank, we've been living in this car, FF, Jolene, and me. It's been 3 days of being bored out of our brains with nothing to do but hate each other and watch the fire rage out of control in the national forest, raise half a decade of drought, rush at the edge of suburbia. 3 days of watching the tract house in the Santa Clarita Valley where my daughter lives with her MILF mom and old ass dad. 3 days of watching dad leave for work in his BMW, watching mom leave with her briefcase, dragging my little red-haired daughter by the arm into the Volvo, then watching the nanny pick my little girl up from first grade and take her back to the tract house and out of the bad air. Today, people are starting to venture out of their homes again, going back to routines. Finally, the air is clear enough for the kids to come out and play. On the playground, in action, are stir-crazy children. Some wear little paper respirators. The air still maintains the quality of hell, triple-digit temperatures and a sulfurous yellow firmament. I roll down my window and spit. The children's cries leak in. This is so fucked, I say for the 100th time. Shut up already, FF says and smacks the dashboard. The glove box opens. There's the gun. I want to point it at FF and make him take Jolene to the hospital. He catches me staring. Go ahead, he says, and nods at the gun. Pick it up. Like I don't know how to use it. You're paranoid, I say. In the lenses of his cop sunglasses, I can see myself reflected. How skinny I look. The sores I can't stop picking. He says, I know you want to. He's right. I want to. I'm going to. I'm about to. Make him see I'm not afraid. But obviously I am afraid. I'm so fucking afraid. For me and for him. And Jolene. But maybe especially for the little girl we're about to grab. I want to believe FF is scared too, that he isn't such a meth monster. But he's different now, and so is our relationship. He only cares about Jolene, and as her life slips out of his control, he puts the squeeze on me. All Jolene seems to care about atop her pillows is getting our attention, how it makes her special, chosen, how it gives her power. Leland's just scared, Jolene says. He's always scared. FF has been feeding her oxys for the pain, and it makes her mean. With effort, she rises off her pillows. runs a swollen hand through FF's hair, smoothing the pomade. The pills get Jolene feeling better, and then she gets bored and wants to play. She casts a side eye at me, eyelids flutter as she hits him with a kiss, lips and tongue slopping. I am kind of scared, I say. Why am I bothering to lie? I've never been more scared in my life. Either you are or you aren't, FF says, cold as the AC blowing, and bored. He turns his attention to the playground. I'm kind of scared, I say, like how your sneezing powder kind of gets me high. This isn't true. I've been high for days. I am uncomfortably high. And how it's only kind of crank because you got to take into consideration all the baby laxative and laundry detergent, all the hands it passes through, all the lower intestines and sphincters. FF stares out the windshield and smiles. The depression of his one dimple makes an appearance on his cheek. He lifts his shades. That's her, he says. That's our girl. And there she is, my daughter. She swings from her nanny's hand, lightly hops, yattering, red hair pom-pom. She is even more pale and freckled than me. I have cursed my daughter to a lifetime of sunburns. This close to her, all the reasons I have for being here burn away. Jolene, my mom, myself, every excuse is meaningless. I realize now that I was never meant to come into contact with this child. The girl and her nanny, a short and sturdy woman in brown leather Huarache sandals, settle in at a picnic table of other nannies. These other women slump at the table, surrounded by strollers and toys, looking exhausted and eyeing their phones. Every now and then, one of them looks up and scans the playground. My daughter's nanny smears sunscreen over the little girl's freckles. Thank you, I want to say. Released by the nanny, my daughter runs to the playground without fear, without undue self-consciousness, without having rubbed in the sunscreen. I feel a substantial, maybe idiotic sense of accomplishment. I've done almost nothing to help my daughter grow, but there she is, my little girl, my great triumph. I am her father. I glance at FF, my best friend, to share the moment. The cracks in his smile are full of plaque. He doesn't see the little girl as anything but a kidney. I'd like to smash him in the mouth. Jolene's reaction isn't any better. She's not even watching the girl. Instead, she stares at me, trying to gauge my reaction. It's pathetic. Into my lap, FF drops a pair of latex gloves and a Mexican wrestling mask. He holds up Jolene's makeup mirror. I do a bump. He turns the key in the ignition and the engine throbs to life. If you get rolled, he says, you don't know us. I don't know you, I say, believing it to be mostly true. Outside the car, the dry heat folds over me like someone else's skin. Through the window, Jolene blows me a damsel's kiss. Remember, don't get caught, FF says. In prison, they'll wear your ass like a condom. He starts to reverse the car out of the parking space. And those bunks aren't comfortable like futons. Even after he's down the street, only the dinged bumper visible, I can't stop shaking. Alone, it's easier to breathe, but no joy. The air so choked with ash. I roll a lopsided cigarette, light it, and turn my attention to the playground. The red-haired girl is playing with a half-dozen kids atop a jungle gym built to resemble a pirate ship. She seems popular, playing sea captain at the ship's wheel and barking demands at her crew. I find a bench far off from the playground and sit, conscious of how I must appear, lonely, lurking. The burnt San Gabriel Mountains loom over the playground and the children. The mountain's soft slopes and summits like the contours of a giant shrouded body. I try to view the children and the fire with detachment, but it's impossible to escape the enormous image of the corpse. I take another drag, but everything feels too terrible. I imagine my lungs burning like my mother's bedroom. Disgusted, I flick the cigarette into the dry grass and head to the water fountain. The spout is clogged, so I stoop down to the child's fountain and drink. Hunched over, I let the cool water drench my face. How is it that I ended up here? Head under the water, I think back to my baptism. Sunday afternoon in an Office Park church, my mom in a floral dress, the eternal life that was promised. And what kind of life am I promising my daughter? As her father, about to traumatize her, aren't I cursing her to a life like my mom's? I can't do it. There's a voice in my head like a drum beat. Quitter, quitter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Water goes up my nose. 8, 9, infinity. A little brat says behind me, water hog. I'm about to tell this little jizz squirt what's up, but when I turn around, it's her. There's a drought, she says. She squeezes past me and dives on the faucet. Lips touch water in a kiss. I can't help but be in awe of her, what I've made. A living, drinking person, embodying such astounding beauty. With the gentleness of a hummingbird descending on a sugar feeder, my daughter indulges at the fountain. Yes, drink deeply, I think. But her mouth is coming too close to the spout, perilously close. And finally, her mouth engulfs the entire spigot, the whole apparatus. Who is raising this kid to fillet water fountains? A burp rumbles out to announce she's done. It's impressive. She skips away in unrhythmic hops. I watch her go for a few yards, then stretch on the latex gloves with a hard snap. I try not to think about prison, but the rubber gloves have the unhappy odor of a condom, and I can't not think about what FF said. I can't not think about my ass being worn like a condom. The hot pink wrestling mask slips over my head easy as anything, too easy. It's at least 2 sizes too big and smells like microwaved fish. I adjust the eye holes and trot off after my daughter. The poisonous air burns my lungs, but I run. My knees sore from long hours in the car. She skips ineptly, lacking coordination, and I wonder if this too is my fault. The mask slips a little into my field of vision, but I can still see her clumsy hops. She's oblivious. I'm getting closer. The mask continues to creep into my eyes, closer. Across the playground, a woman's scream shreds the afternoon. So close. I'm blind. Everything hot pink. In the collision, my daughter and I entwine. For an instant that I will remember until the day I die, we embrace. Our first touch. Our relationship deepens. Because even though the touch is a violent twisting of bodies, it is born out of love. For her, for Jolene, for my mom. And I want to believe this moment is the first on the way to healing, the start of our convalescence. I also know this can't be true. Molestador! The nannies cry. They rush across the playground like the forest fire swept down from the mountains. Through the mask's eye holes, I see the Hirachis kicking up sand. I scoop my daughter and run into the street, 5 short-legged nannies in pursuit, sandals slapping blacktop. I carry my daughter through the intersection, sprint across the lush lawns of anonymous tract homes. With so much sameness camouflaging the homes, I feel all the more visible, pursued, carrying a lifeless child. Up the block, I see FF's car drool exhaust fumes out of the tailpipe, a burrito wrapper taped over the license plate. That cop car with its spray paint job is the shittiest, most beautiful car in the neighborhood. I feed my daughter through the open window into Jolene's arms. I want my daughter to know how much pain this is causing me. Want her to know I feel her anger, fear, and pain, that I understand. I understand the pain of every living thing. I am alive with pain. I fall to my knees and scream, a taser barb in my back. Violadors, the nannies cry. On my knees, Paralyzed by electric jolts, I'm cold-cocked with a toy dump truck. It drops me to the street. Under the car, through the wattage, I see FF's boots. He's surrounded by Hirachis. Before my eyes slam shut, a nanny collapses to the asphalt, then another. Thanks.
Wow, I really want to read the whole thing now. You've got it's got its hooks in me.
Yeah.
And you had to end it on a on a cliffhanger too, huh?
Yeah.
No, I really love like the like I don't know, like comic urgency of the whole thing, and it has a very, and this seems like a cliche to say, but it has a very like Coen Brothers feel about it, with like the like profoundly like inept kidnappers and the and just like the comic hilarity of him being like accosted by the nannies at the end and all of that is very fun to listen to, you know.
Cool. Thank you.
Jake, are you ready to roll? Oh, possibly
Yeah.
not. Oh, okay.
I can go now. We're good. I finished up.
Awesome.
See, I just wrote this today and I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I guess I can send a link to the chat here. It's on,
Yeah, awesome. I'm not sharing any of
OneDrive.
these on Twitter because I'm sure that,
yeah.
you know, you'll want to find a home for it elsewhere, you know.
If anyone has any suggestions, let me know because I don't know where this belongs or if it should be shared with the world. It's debatable.
Missouri tourism.
If you find yourself on the wrong stretch of tarred and rutted Central Florida highway, you'll end up running right through the middle of Polk County. It's the kind of place that even up through the 90s had swamp villages pocked with sinkholes and signs on either side of the town's dirt road telling blacks not to let the sun set on their back. A place some 850 miles south of the Mason-Dixon that might as well be just as far away from the mouse-eared bikini-beached visions of most Yankee tourists. It wasn't all meth trailers, dollar stores, check-cashing shacks, and churches. It was home. Home to migrant farmers and descendants of the original Florida crackers, who so gently got their name during the region's ranching days. They used to crack whips in the air to drive the cattle. At least that's the sanitary version of the story. Brooke was born and raised purebred cracker blood. We went to church together when we were kids. Spent Sunday services doing our best to catch glimpses of one another, hiding smiles behind hymnals and trying to make sure her deacon granddaddy didn't catch on. As we got older, Wednesday youth group became the center of our world. Sitting next to one another, we'd let our legs spread wide and feet drift, setting the stage for accidental touches and shoes that found themselves pressed together. Kneading the cheap rubber of our soles, she breathed heavier, and I pulled my shirt down to hide the erection in my jeans. The night the youth pastor made us sit apart, she passed me a piece of paper with her phone number that said, "Call me Saturday morning," and I did. We started meeting up Saturday mornings at the back edge of her granddaddy's pasture. I'd ride my bike down the back roads, struggling to pedal through the loose gravel as I swatted away horseflies, trying to make a meal out of me. I'd hide my bike in the ditch along the property line and snake my way through the barbed wire fence, and she'd be waiting for me behind a small hill. We'd lie there for hours talking about our mother's addictions, how little we knew about our dads, and what we wanted to be when we grew up. She wanted to be a champion barrel racer and hear the crowd cheering as she darted a horse back and forth. We kissed and touched, exploring the notes of each other's bodies like untrained musicians. Is it better like this or like this? Harder or faster? Here or there? After a few weeks, our Sunday morning stares were different, and I stopped going to Wednesday youth group. Dealing with the Southern Baptist bullshit just to play footsie didn't seem like such a good deal when I had free reign to finger and suck titties every weekend. She started calling me all the time and getting upset when I wasn't there or I said I had to go in a few minutes. When we'd meet in the pasture, she'd cry and say she missed me at youth group, and I'd tell her not to be sad because we were together right now. She would smile and let me take off her bra. The last time I went to the pasture, I said her blowjobs were boring. I said it was too hot outside. I complained about the horse flies and humidity. I said I didn't know how I felt. I didn't know if I felt like riding my bike that far next weekend. No one said anything for a while until she looked up at me and said, "You want to have sex?" Of course I did. It's all I'd been thinking about since the first time I realized what those painful childhood erections were used for. Do you? I asked. Well, I'm trying to stay a virgin, but I mean, I don't want you getting bored of me or nothing. Well, what do you mean then? I don't see no two ways about it. I knew exactly what she meant. How about if you lick me, I'll let you stick it in my butt, she said. There in a granddaddy's pasture, amongst the bahia grass and piles of horse manure, she spread herself. I spit into my palm and rubbed it over the head of my erection, then pressed myself between her butt cheeks. She winced, and I was overwhelmed with the realization that my penis was between a girl's legs, on the threshold of a pleasure I had only dreamed of until that moment. I felt the surge lightening down my legs, and I fell forward on top of her as I came without warning. Did you like it? I mean, you musta, she said. I don't know, I said. I stood up. I stood, pulled up my pants and buttoned them. I gotta go. What? You said you'd lick me. I looked down at her in the grass, jean shorts still down around her knees. I saw my semen dribbling from between her thighs, and I listened to the buzz of the cicadas surrounding us. Yeah, maybe next time. I gotta go. I walked across the pasture, through the barbed wire fence, pulled my bike out of the ditch, and rode it back down the long gravel roads to my house. The next morning, I told my mom I was sick and stayed home from church. My phone rang and I didn't answer. I didn't go to church the next week or the week after that, and so on until after 15 years. Until after 15 years, we'd each taken up our mother's addictions. She got the rougher end of things, though. Ended up pregnant shortly after our days on the pasture. The daddy was an old buddy of mine named Darren. He was a car thief who got sent away, turned prison Nazi, and ended up with a sharpened piece of eyeglass frame sticking out of his neck. He laid on the jail floor for nearly 3 whole minutes, holding his hand over the wound and convulsing before he finally died. I watched the security footage on LiveLeak. He's the most famous person we know. She was smoking a cigarette outside the tattoo shop when I pulled into the parking lot. I'd been working there for a half year or so. Started off doing body piercing and just recently picked up the tattoo machine. I wasn't good, but the truth is anyone coming to a place like Rebel Yell Tattoo and Body Piercing didn't care or couldn't afford anything nicer. I paid my rent doing $30 crosses, Confederate flags, praying hands, and people's names in script. She smiled as I got out of my truck. Years of no sunscreen and amphetamine had wrinkled the corners of her mouth brown like the knuckles on a thrift store baseball glove. Well, look who it is. How you been, baby girl? I said, walking up and hugging her. Oh, I've been all right, far as I can be anyway. Yeah. Sorry about Darren. It's fucked up. How's the boy taking it? Hell, who knows? Trey's been running wild since before D got locked up. Ain't like he was ever a good daddy or anything, but I think he's sad. I know I was when my mama died. He better keep it together, though, or he's finna end up like his daddy. He's already on the juvenile probation. I unlocked the tattoo shop door and let her inside. Damn, well, it ain't like we were well behaved back then. Maybe it's just harder staying out of trouble these days, I said. She huffed out a laugh as she dabbed chapstick on the open cold sore on her lip. I didn't mean you and me, kids back in our day. Mm-hmm, she said, raising an eyebrow. So what are you doing here anyway? You want to get them nipples pierced? Hell no. I already did that. One of them got infected. Pushed the damn ring right out. Fucked my nipple up. Oh, yeah? You want another orange? Interruption. I'll get you an orange in a minute, dude. Hell no. Already did that. One of them got infected. Pushed the damn ring right out. I fucked my nipple right up. She lifted her shirt, grabbed her tit, and squeezed it plump. There was a deep fissure through the middle of the nipple that looked like it had been ripped and scarred over. Damn, girl. You should have let me get at that before it got that bad. That could have been prevented. A whole lot of shit could have been prevented if I'd done a whole bunch of something different, but I ain't never been no good at wishing. I looked at the floor and she continued. I want to get something to remember D. I'm thinking of Swazi on the back of my neck. A swastika? Yeah, he'd love it. Plus, it got special meaning being as I'm white and everything. Ain't like one day I'm going to turn Mexican or something and regret it. Right there on my neck, she said, turning around and pulling her hair up. I reached out and took her hair in my hand and looked at her neck. She placed her palms against the shop wall. You can pull it if you want. Ain't been pulled since D went up. You want me to? Yeah, do it. I gripped her hair tight, tugged her head back, and I was reminded of what she sounds like when she gulps a heavy breath. You got to get it harder than that, boy. That wasn't shit. Oh yeah? Not shit? I jerked her head and pressed her against the wall, keeping the tension on her hair as she craned her neck back and looked at me standing behind her. You know you owe me one. I never did get my licking. Fair enough, I said, walking to the front door and locking the deadbolt. I pointed to the cheap black couch in the lobby. Take a seat then. Oh, what? You trying to be Trey's stepdaddy? She smiled, walked over and pushed me down on the couch, shaking her head. Nuh-uh, you lie down. I like being on top. She unbuttoned her shorts and slid them off, revealing a vortex of light brown pubic hair that had been smashed against the inside of her panties. I laid back and she lifted one leg high, putting her foot into the arm's rest behind my head. There were rolled up beads of toilet paper clinging to her inner thighs and near her asshole. The smell of sweat, piss, and rancid molasses covered my face. I winced and started to sit up. She put her hand on my shoulder and pushed me back down, reached through the mound of hair, spreading her labia. It sounded like jello being pushed between teeth. Her inner lips were coated with a frothy white. I think I'm going to have to get back to you another time, I said. She pressed her hand firmly to my head and said, shh, don't worry, baby. Mama's mayo don't never go bad, as she lowered herself onto my face. The end.
That was fantastic. That was really, really good. The incredibly like gross details that was great.
If you can ever gross anyone out, that is good writing.
Yes. And and the twist with the swastika tattoo, that was hilarious because it's like simultaneously like really bittersweet. Like she just wants this guy was her baby's daddy, and she just wants to get something to remember him by. But it's so awful and absurd at the same time.
And I peeled an orange while I was reading, so fucking nailed it.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel sorry for your kid. I don't know how much of that they heard.
He does. He's 3. He doesn't know what the fuck I'm talking about half the time, so he's good.
No, hey, my grandmother taught me how to swear, so like the first fuck I ever heard was from my grandmother, so that's
beautiful.
So yeah, if anyone knows where that should go, let me know.
Yeah, so
I mean, honestly, it sounds like it should go to Malone, New York, but that was some very, very powerful small town feels. That reminded me of home.
So
Yeah.
oh, sorry.
No, I was just.
Oh, sorry, Rudy.
I was gonna say, the only thing about Malone is that I don't think anyone could get a swastika tattoo here. At least I can't. No, but yeah, no, the feels of that are definitely powerful.
there's probably a limited pool of tattoo parlors around that give swastika tattoos and are willing to tattoo a black dude. And probably the ones that are willing to give a black dude a swastika tattoo are even smaller.
Probably, yeah.
But in terms of like where to submit it, so my like knowledge of like the lit world is pretty constrained. It's just it's basically us, Surfaces, Expat, and Terror House. That's my entire literary universe, at least contemporary literary universe. Um, I would, and I don't want to be like, hey, send it to us, because I feel like I always say that. I'm like, hey, send it. I will say though, February, our theme is consent. Just putting that out there. But assuming you didn't want to send it to Misery Tourism, those are the 3 publications that like I always go to, that I like when I'm not working on our shit. Those are the ones where I go, oh, Trash World is another great one. Um, they're yeah, and their focus is like flash fiction, I think, and that's pretty much right in terms of length. That's right in the sweet spot, I would think, for them. So those are some that come to mind for me.
You
There's
guys
also
self-published? Oh, sorry.
Horror Sleaze Trash. Their website's just horrorsleazetrash.com. That's sort of their whole genre is sleaze and trash.
Nice.
I haven't
You've had some stuff published in Scab too, right, Jake?
Scab. Yeah, that's a good. That's a good one too, Rudy.
Scab. I just kind of, I was looking around and I didn't.
I would
Wasn't sure
say
where-
Nauseated Drive, but I don't think they're accepting submissions right now. But I need to do something more Misery Tourism because I only have one thing.
Well, I didn't.
The other thing that wasn't actually by me, but I'm so glad you published it. Thank you. Don't worry, it's not plagiarism if you guys don't know what I'm talking about. Okay. I love the themes, especially the cosplay one. I have a good one for that.
Oh man, nice.
You should.
Yeah, definitely submit it.
So is anyone else? Is there anyone else here right now who'd like to read?
I kind of wanted to go.
Cool, Ryan. Yeah,
But I can't like link my thing though, if that's chill.
that's totally fine. We're not really.
Okay.
I'm not really updating the Twitter thread today anyway, since
Yeah,
Mike.
it seemed like a good chance to do it.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay. So this won a flash fiction contest recently. It's called White Light, Pink Spiderweb. It hurts, but not like a paper cut. My brother says that's shallow, like most loves, but most hatreds too. My bandage is a thin strip lined where the cut was, banished to the same place prayers go. My brother says it's a bummer when mom and dad yell so loud the machine shakes. It shakes now, harder than when streetlights blew by. Now an open stretch of road beyonds our parents' paired noses. They shout into each other, slack to glance through the windshield. My brother says something. Dad turns to him with lips tight, drawn cheekbones humming, and spits something back. All I've ever been keeps it far from me. If I shut it all out, I'll never die. This is normal, but it aches, not like a paper cut, but a tummy churn, the pain deeper than skin. Mom's nose hides behind her skull, which is behind her headrest. I plaster mine against the window. I keep losing horses behind what I can see. But when I see them in the fields, they stare back. Their hair whips in the wind, their coats shades of auburn like my brother's hair before he buzz cut it. When I turn back, he looks thoughtful, as if that's all this is, something to muse over. The machine needs food. Brother says the machine eats better than we do. We eat what he calls trash as we wait inside it. Dad the feeder while mom drums her fingertips on the dash and sings. Her voice isn't nasal in her head. It's a spacey song, its high notes clashing with the ambient buzz of the idling machine. All its notes are nowhere, the song stuffed with silence, a slow song beating against me. Empty of melody, her voice betrays its words, keeps its pattern sterile. My brother looks bored now as he prizes a mound of crumbs into his mouth. Our genes and blood, he says, a mutter eking its way into the air like a dying breath. Mom shoots him a glare, but he could mean Dad's genes. Food stains Dad's jeans. Beneath a trucker cap splayed with our flag, his face passes me. He's halfway through his clambrin when I scream. This again, Mom says. For Dad is not my dad but bones, black as insect thorax, his eyes full of white light. It's the beer can, my brother says. Jesus, Dad, you're driving. It's one brew, the insect says through no teeth. I'm taking us to Brightland. You should be grateful. Its head swivels to face me. I shrink back, press against the machine's backseat like a bandage myself, like it's hurt and I need to save it. We never even talk about Brightland, my brother says. Starts to say more. The words are leaving him. But then the insect is leaning over the machine's shoulder, spraying him with acid. The gloop is luminescent, glowing like wintergreen candy. Great, my brother says, slouching. Now I'll smell like beer all day. His eyes hood, his chin downturned. He can't stand against the king of insect bones. No one can. Its strange power fills the machine. An awful hush consumes us. I miss Mom's song. The hush is worse. The king of insect bones makes no sound when it's nothing left to puke out. It's the silence of your breath when sleep is coming, like the last days of summer. A silence sporing the air like stomach churn going from body to body. For aeons the machine moves, and there's nothing inside it. My brother says hell is inside us. His heartbeat echoes mine sleeping against him. As children have hearts that beat like songs, cadenced, steady. They only beat faster when our bodies move. My brother says adults get trashed on speeding up their heartbeats, trying to feel it all when they can only handle feeling a little. I asked if that's why they were so angry all the time. He said it's a side effect, like a side effect of making a lot of promises is breaking some. He said adults promise themselves more than they ever promise others. It's those promises that break easy. The worst part is that promises broken are the ones that matter most. So every word of the promise holds in their throats. Fragments to shards that remain, jagged, so what they say comes out laced, wounded. He said he's turning into one of them. He said this with eyes glittering like glass in sunlight. His eyes hide now behind their lids. He's asleep, so I untether myself from the machine the way he says never to do. For the machine is a cold thing past its fuzz, something that keeps us where a soul should be. The machine keeps us so it doesn't need a soul. We are its soul, and its soul is the soul of the king of insect bones. The king of insect bones isn't around. The holder braces a hollow silver can. Dad mutters under his breath. He jostles Mom. Fucking battery's running out. Wake up. Didn't you juice it? Mom blinks herself into the machine enough to answer. Before we left, you must have left the light on. Her voice makes it 3 words before it's a bleak, snapping thing, digging as much fury from each sound as it can. Her message is too true to need loudness. My brother starts awake, like even in sleep he knew something was wrong. What's up, he says, pushing me away. He didn't mean to. He still did. Like we don't want to get closer to each other but further, when a dream wakes you to an ugly body and what keeps inside of it. I'm sorry for what I keep inside me. I slip to the side, and the tether wrestles. Dude, he says, and his voice creases too. You have to be safe. You have to stay safe. I keep telling you. When I die, my death will release what I'm sorry for. My guts will breach the surface of my stomach and splatter the machine. They'll mix with insect puke and fester with our bodies. Then the machine will not have our souls. Our souls will drown in the swamp of us. Don't pull over, Mom says. Wolves live in these woods. It'll be for a second, Dad says. Gotta switch it with despair. Now his voice is bleak. Mom doesn't reply. My brother doesn't speak. Your most desolate magic loudens the world when you're loud and quiets it when you're quiet. Your grief the seed pits of greater grief. The machine's grief. For a moment I could scream. But I don't. I cram my tongue into my teeth to muffle myself. The trees outside are black to their roots, a black sky strewn with stars beyond them. There's a lake on your side, my brother says. He looks at me with eyes cruel with regret. Past the trees. I looked it up. I bet the stars look pretty on the water, he says, then lapses into silence. And my thoughts are a churn. If we could start over, we could live beneath the water's surface. We'd still hug each other, but we wouldn't hear each other. We wouldn't hurt each other with our voices. My brother says I didn't make it, but we are in Brightland with the king of insect bones. You're living it out, but you're not real, he says. Orbital lights strobe the sky and rockets climb towers. My brother's ashen skin reflects light, but the king of insect bones doesn't. It swallows light. Swallows light, leaves a dark nothing. not the way things should be, but it shades out Mom as thick-thin limbs wrap around her. Wings thrum, ragged, tattered, stained with black moss. The stars hide past the dancing lights. All four of us walk the strobe-lit path. People of all sorts flood by in shades of sepia and hazel and porcelain. I stick to the earth, like walking on bubble gum. What did you say? Mom says in a sleepy voice. Nothing, Mom, my brother says, whispers in my ear. Everything. I'm weird. It's my genes and blood, and my brother is weird now too. I made him weird, but I didn't mean to. I wanted him to make me normal. I wanted to stop seeing the king of insect bones. But now it's all I see. Its moss-streaked wings, the patches of acid gloop it leaves behind. I hop over a patch and my brother holds my wrist like I'll float away. But I stick to the earth, even when my body breaks from it. Chrissy wants cotton candy, my brother says. I don't want it, because nothing can help us or help this. The candy will go away, and will be worse. I'm eating pink spiderweb. It wisps around my fingers, and I try to shake it off. My brother laughs. His laughter shimmers in the air, but where it bleeds into the king of insect bones, there's a mess of static. See, my brother says, even in death you're pretty. Soon boys will pick you up from their phones, pick your name from their screens like crystal balls. He thinks. He holds my hand again. 9 is a magic number, he says. Once you hit your first decade, it all changes. 9 is the last time you stay the same. He shudders like he's cold. His grip tightens. 9 is the last time candy is perfect. I will be weird forever. They will cure it many times, in many ways. It will come back like I come back to Earth, like the king of insect bones is stuck. Its blood and genes are in me, but it's all new to me except the machine. When we return to the machine, it'll take us home. It'll take us home, and everything will be worse. Acid, I say. I wish. Hardcore brain death, my brother says. He sucks it down like lemonade. And the king of insect bones turns, its eyes full of white light. I'm only a girl, and I face it with its blood and genes. The four of us together alone are a stone-top lone rushing water. People stream past us in waves. The pretty lights spin and strobe in churning halos. They are not the light of eyes, not insect eyes or machine eyes. They are the strangest thing I've ever known. Thank you.
That was awesome. It was so like wonderfully disorienting, and it was disorienting like both in the same way that like the best speculative fiction is disorienting because like it's like literally an altered state of consciousness, right? Like, and it's also disorienting though in the way that like childhood is innately like disorienting in the sense of like when you're a kid, there's that like the like strict like the kind of narrative continuity that we apply to reality as like adults and like the like fabricated logic that we use to dictate things really doesn't apply when you're a kid. And it was fantastic. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Oh no. I just saw what Eris said in the chat. Maybe later, Eris. Maybe I'll do maybe near the end of the night. She wants me to read the dialogue from your story, Jake. The dialogue from my like proxy character or whatever. Anyway, yeah, that was fantastic, Ryan. Is there anyone else who wants to read? I know we have one more person who wanted to read, but he said he wouldn't be here until 9. Do we have anyone in the chat right now who'd like to read something?
Can I read random parts from Cocaine Doom?
Random parts from what?
Nothing I did with that guy who doesn't talk to me anymore.
Go right ahead.
Nice.
Okay, cool. Stop touching it, friend. Touching what exactly? I mean, if you touched me, I could touch you. We both know that would lead to different touches and different soft yielding to taut violation of hard surfaces, sharp smacking against rough latex, tightened glove skins, violent shaking, thrusting, hard hurting amid soft glitter patterns and shards of tightened window environments. I can call you later, your wet voice, a hiss in my ear, sweat and earwax, and when I push the bun away from my face, it looks like a Wish app attempt at a white bitch ivory / Mac robot flesh. Does Mac mineralized time check lotion? You will be non-linear and without pores. Just some cheap rectangle covered in dimethicone from the makeup left on it. Bald, a wig maybe, hair pulled out. Perhaps slight saliva flecks, razor slashes into face. Certainly a thickness of vowel and tautness to the timber. That was a bit his word. Screaming, ululating contact lenses from Halloween costume and drag makeup, rendering monstrous aura frightening. By the way, it wouldn't make more sense if I started earlier or later. It's, what is it? You said delightfully disorienting? About the other piece? I can only aim for that. But mutilated torture chamber. Fuck yeah, your pairs are awesome. Monstrous aura frightening, mutilated torture chamber in a horror story, the way you scrawl those letters on the wall of your tooth cave. What do they mean, and what powers are you accumulating in that little orgone hut when you pretended to cut the implanted transmitter out of your mouth? A certain thickening in the throat, picking at prickles of hair along the edge of my jaw. I enunciate with my tongue in the grooves of my teeth. Click, 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 click. Wailing like ghosts that can't contain me in their prayers. Concentrating with my hand twisted over my mouth, moving my lips in ways that express certain sneering emotions while pinching the skin at the top of my scalp. My face is a shape and I feel it with my hand for reassurance. I want to know that I remain imposing, sharp. I want you to maneuver your fingers over my face skin, feeling with bitterness the sore hand that contains a thought and its twist, and wriggling around. Let me change my filter. Hold on. Sounds good. Okay. I apologize for making that lame joke. And before, I click the knuckles of my left hand as I bore down on my will. But I kid, I cough, I kvetch. Get over it. I'm not sincere enough. You accept my apology gracefully, so excited like a child. I was amazed you even called, he said, and his name was Andrew, and he drew a strange symbol in the sand, wiping it away before I could memorize, before burying her, Elizabeth, in the sand. Completely. I'll exand her later, he said slyly. So maybe that was his name. Alexander. Who knows? I didn't get the joke. Subliminate imprinting a sigil finally on her forehead. It would only take on meaning later. Much later. ... Qua, qua, qua. Many tears poured out of my left eye as he unsanded part of her head to braid her hair in fractal patterns. Eyes bleeding in target. You're not supposed to be able to survive there for long, I hear. Ventilation poisoning, lighting washout, eyes wasted on far sickness. I love that word. Of bleach and magazines and shit. I'm tautening my calves and hamstrings, trying to concentrate, trying to rub and get loosen that pectoral clavicle region, also my fucking scalp. I can't get comfy. Gymnastics of kinesthetic intentionality. Heavy vowels in my voice, twitchy, looking at ads in every direction, sucking on my own saliva, thoughtful, targeted, panting, sweating in my reeking crotch, labels on the product, sucked in air, brightly colored, you know, air conditioning, corporate towels, corporate detergent, corporate tank top lint, corporate tweaker scratching my skull, manic, out of control, cosmic grit grinds in my teeth. Cute panties, yeah, though. Yeah, put them on, why not? I want to see you in them, see you. Target has great socks, you know. You get the ones with both pigs and bacon on them. Hot pink. Sick joke. Anklets, bitch. Those are real, by the way. Those t-shirts with Darth Vader or Bart Simpson. Plucking my lip from its cage. You made a cage for my lip. It's cupped. My lip is impotently caged in a house you designed. A lip house, lip architecture. You crawl around the columns of the ridges of the pseudorectal lip tissue, applying thick plaster. You feel your toenails against your socks and it kills you, and you take off your socks and they're flung against walls. The Kundalini yoga that I did, the ringing bells, the empty zilch sense, scorched aura of the space was torched with 1,000 demons before I saged that shit to oblivion now. Incense and jangling bell scorch, I cry, weep from my chakra eyeballs, beating tears of trauma focused. Oh. Wait. Focus, infinite transcendental submission to structure. Structure itself alone can save me. I'm mad, and only structure saves me from it. Structure itself alone I'll keep reading it. In my own mind, it's cruelty and disorder. It's apologizing beat dots where my fingers touched my face, scanning to 3D model it. What if when you flung something against a wall, hear me out, your body was flung in its stead, flinging your own flinging face at its far-flungness? Is that what you call convenience? In short, no. No one asks you. No one asks you to do that. But nevertheless, it is always screaming at me. My fucking frost-frozen, frigid face, the quivering edges of my facialized frontal absent core, the blank hole I call my identiface, the sliding interlace of muscle of its expressions, pixelated just like my leg, so held in specific muscle forms. Consult a medical textbook trying to pin down the exact shape of its kinesthetic loneliness. I smile at you through the screen whenever I am rough or throwing things roughly. Yeah? As if it were me, myself, thrown roughly, you see, screaming into the void, throwing myself roughly like a football player, self-tackling down the elevator shaft. Crash. Hopefully my iPhone didn't accidentally shatter. Okay. Hang on, babe. I'm just gonna skip ahead a little. Hang on, babe. Who are you again? This hold music, it's really sad. Why did they go with John Dolan? That's fucked. Isn't that some sort of corporation where it's just to gaslight you? Some kind of sick art experiment? What? I dial upon. Wait, I'll try to call you back. Fucking loading issues. The connection. Do I type numbers? Dyscalculus, see, I have it's like dyslexia, but with numbers. I'm tired and I feel like I fucked up, a typo, a mistake, an error. I have it, though a disorder, so don't count on me. It's not quite up to snuff, my mind, but the thing is I've been vomit by the side of a bona fide hustler, horoscope badass who brought on the bankruptcy nausea after 2 inheritances. Somehow kept my broke ass along for love, shivering epileptic something, but if you ever saw my ass, truly saw my ass, you'd understand what love is, you see. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, kink list, email me for it. JK? Hey there. Death could come at any time. There is no time for shame. Redemption is a lie. Sold at Target or Whole Foods, but is also sold out outer sunset. Vomit like a comet. Fog is air. No people exist. Death is near. Use your hands to write it down. Good thing you're myopic. Death is whatever, but you cannot afford literally anything. But definitely not being dumb shy. Why don't you make a diorama and show us how you feel? Okay, I think I've made you guys suffer through that enough. Okay, cool.
No, that was fantastic. I actually tweeted out the link to that one.
Oh, right on. Thank you.
Because I think that, like, I don't think it can be appreciated properly unless you have the text in front of you, because you're doing so much with formatting and spacing and capitalization and like weird fucking shifts in color and text. I feel a little bad for Benny because
I was like, do you need help? Like, I can do this. Because I started out actually making a whole different website for it, like, just in case.
Yeah, because I know, like, Rudy and I really, like, love experimental shit, especially experimental poetry. So whenever we, like, get a piece and it's formatted in a really wild way, or it does weird shit with spacing or whatever, or it's like, yeah, and then we're like, oh shit, we're gonna have to figure out how to get this on the website. And so it's really, my hats off to Benny. But that was a great piece. It was fantastic.
Here, I remember I was like, hey, wait, how did Anthony do this? And I remember he just did pictures for Fiona EXE.
Yeah, and
which is smart.
That's great. That 100% works. But Rudy and I, like, whenever possible, we try not to do that because, like, for purely selfish reasons, which is that, like, it fucks up your SEO and it makes it harder for the bots to index the site and stuff.
Yeah.
That was so fun. Thank you.
I really like that one. Reminds me of like a forum post that I read. There's this guy on this like goofy dark web forum that me and William visit. He's called Henzerator, and he makes all these really bizarro posts that are barely comprehensible. But like this, I feel like I'm on the verge of understanding it. Like unlike his posts, which are never comprehensible at all in any way. Like it has a real forum vibe to it though. I love it.
Honestly, this piece has all of my secrets in it. It even has ruthless little things mentioned in it.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really really cool. Like actually, it's like it's done. I can't work on it anymore.
The like massive pink text has like time cube vibes. The like formatting, it's really good. The whole like,
Yeah, that was
I don't
all.
know.
That was all him. He's really like Dale says, like he kind of owns Times New Roman italicized. I accept this. It's awesome.
Fucking time cube, yes. That is it has powerful time cube energy.
Oh man, I didn't even think of Time Cube. Yeah.
I'm
So
always thinking of time cube.
I hear you.
so do we have anyone else who wants to read? I don't see Patrick here yet. So do anyone else wants to read?
Corey, read from your blog. Or not. Okay.
Who?
Amanda, read from anything. Anyone. I shall mute myself.
If anyone has anything to read, if not, I'm going to start peer pressuring Rudy or Brandon just because they're the ones I can peer pressure without feeling bad about it.
You can always peer pressure me, but I always volunteer.
I do have something I can do.
Go do it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So a couple of you guys actually got a preview of this last week. And since I have a second post for the blog, I can share that with you guys as well. So I've got 2 blog posts here. It's kind of a concept blog. Give me just a second. I'll get both of the links in for the chat. All right. And yes, it's a corny name. It'll make sense. So the first one is despair. I write this out of a sense of confusion and from a standpoint of a loss of understanding where else to place these thoughts. I would estimate that some months ago I became the sole shareholder in this vessel's control. On writing that sentence, I suppose that bears more explanation. I am ancient beyond your reckoning, and your electronic communications confound and irritate me to no end. But it is either this or sit alone in my vessel's apartment and talk to the walls. And my vessel has neighbors that seem a bit uptight. Time, as you all know, it is impossibly fleeting to me. What takes you days to accomplish feels like a rote morning ritual to me. So when I say that I was left in sole ownership of my mortal vessel some months ago, do understand that is simply the best estimate that I can provide. It has been tedious, but even as trivial as your time is to me, I grow bored with this isolation. I do not know how best to explain how I came to be in charge of the day-to-day functions of my mortal vessel. One day he was operating as normal, dealing with all the mundane essentials of life in this forsaken modern world, attending to employment, paying bills, purchasing groceries, that sort of thing. And the next, it was as if he had, well, given up, for lack of a better phrase. It was as if he had given up and vacated, leaving me behind. I do not enjoy this. I have experienced this before, but only in passing, and perhaps this is all the more reason that I have waited this long before trying to find some outlet for my isolation. This is likely what you mortals call mental illness. My vessel had checked out a few times before, usually for a day or two as a sort of fugue state, during which I would step in, carry on, and happily step aside to return to my own interests in the other worlds, but that should have resolved itself quite some time ago. Perhaps the abnormal number of bottles of liquor that surrounded him when I awoke have something to do with it all. Perhaps not. Regardless, I needed somewhere to write down my thoughts. Hopefully, when this vessel wears itself out and my vessel and I return to the fonts of reincarnation to be returned to this world in the next lifetime, he will stumble upon these writings and find them of use in remembering who and what we are. In past lifetimes, I had attempted to do the same with books, but those are dreadfully fragile, and particularly when handwritten and unpublished, exceedingly rare and unlikely to be found again, especially when there is no memory of where these books were written. And the second entry is entitled Rage. It would seem that this world has grown soft since the ancient days. I was confronted by some miscreant when continuing the facade of my vessel's work earlier this week, who had chosen not to cover his face, as appears to be the socially expected behavior at this particular time. I had expected a conflict, as many seem violently attached to this idea that diseases do not exist, but what happened instead was this man had grabbed several large packages of batteries and ran out of the store. Even more insulting, he had yelled happily, "Thank you, and have a great day." Insufferable. I could not let that stand. I ran out after him, and as he was calling for his getaway driver, I ran into him and pinned him against his vehicle. It was glorious. I bashed his head through the window. Glass shattered everywhere. Blood was spilled. His driver took off at full speed and left the would-be thief bleeding at my feet. No one steals from me. I am now looking for a new job. As it turns out, my vessel's corporation does not approve of violence, not even to protect their own assets from criminals. Utter nonsense. The local authorities even took him into custody and ran the plates and will be rounding up his driver, and yet not only am I now out of work, but I am now told that I have a court appearance alleging that I assaulted this hoodlum. The audacity! I should be lauded as a hero. I stopped a thief, turned 2 criminals over to the authorities, and now I am out of a source of income and due to appear before a judge to answer for why I injured the arrogant fool. In ages past, I'd have been rewarded with livestock or at least a salt barrel, and the thief would have had his arm cut off just below the elbow and left marked for the rest of his life. He ought to be thankful that I only bloodied his head. Update. The court appearance was an odd affair. I spoke quite plainly, calmly, but firmly. The arbitrator acknowledged that I had good intentions, but still felt a sentence was needed. Something about not wanting to encourage further acts of vigilante violence. Complete madness. I have been instructed to cooperate with an anger management course and pay a considerable fine. I do not need anger management. I am anger, and I manage what I am quite well. But it would appear that the alternative to agreeing to this anger management course is to spend time in their jail. And I do not like that idea.
Oh, yeah.
You got me with the shift from the dark fantasy shit to the real, the mundane real life shit. I was like, oh yeah, I know where this is going. And then when you get to the the shoplifting stuff, that threw me for one, and I appreciate it.
Basically, the idea that I have for this blog is Cthulhu meets Seinfeld.
That's a great concept.
Hell yeah.
Someone tweet that, please. Oh my god.
I love that this ancient being cares about doing well at his day job. Is doing his best.
Gotta pay rent somehow.
Yeah.
And this that last rage piece, that reminds me of this. And tell me if I'm off base here. Reminds me of this, but a dark fantasy version of it.
Oh my god.
Unforgivable.
I haven't watched this video in so many years.
Well, the funny thing is, the rage piece, it was inspired by something that actually happened to me last weekend. I was at work, and sure enough, this guy actually walks in, no mask on. He's in the store for a couple of minutes, and as he's walking out, he actually said, "Hey, thanks guys, have a great day." And I realized that he's got like 16 packs of batteries in his hands. No
Oh, boy.
mask. Every other person in the building wearing a mask. The one guy not wearing the mask is the one committing a crime. just unbelievable.
Really nondescript. Rudy, I haven't seen this unforgivable video in forever. I forgot that it existed.
Same. I really haven't even thought about this video, and I don't know how long.
This
It's a
video is
classic,
amazing.
though.
It really is.
Yeah, it definitely is. Rudy, I think you had a piece you wanted to read next.
Yeah, sure. I'll read something till Patrick gets here. Is he here? Or?
No, he sent me a message about 15 minutes ago saying he'd be another 20. So.
If no one wants to go after Rudy and Patrick isn't here, I could read some just random shit off my blog if that's cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That'd be
Cool.
awesome.
Sweet.
Okay, let me get a link for this one here. Oh, sorry. So this one is called Hogsburg. It's about well, the Civil War, I guess.
Have we published this one?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll dig up the Misery
A different
Tourism link. Sorry.
version of it, probably. Maybe I don't know if I published the Civil War Eye Bleed edition with all the rich formatting, or if it was just this version.
I think it was a text version, but either way, I'll
Yeah, I
dig it
think
up.
so.
Sorry, sorry to interrupt.
Either way. To my dearest Eliza, I hope this letter finds you well, for I'm not certain that the post runs from the ether or purgatory or, God save me, this hell that I've found myself in. I write you now as Yankees comb through the pockets of my men, the fallen of the 28th Virginia. They do so brazenly, in front of my very eyes, and are not repulsed by saber, shot, or rebel yell. Certainly I will spare you from the observations and strategic minutiae that I, in my humble position as lieutenant, am privy to lay such a burden on the mind of a woman, especially one already stricken with grief, as you must be, especially one so prone to fits of melancholy, especially the mother of my children, would be improper. I will, however, say, again from my humble and possibly incomplete understanding of such matters, that a grievous mistake has been made here. I have not seen such a slaughter in all my days in the Army of Northern Virginia. The burial trench where my body is laid in sits in a gently sloping field within sight of a copse of trees that I can say little about except that they are there. The area would be scenic if not for the tattered mounds of gray and less frequently blue that litter the ground. If it is me who is in that trench, then on top of me, under me, and to my sides lay several of our number, blacker and more swollen than one of Mr. Johnston's little nigger children after an indulgent Saturday lunch, who have suffered a fate similar to my own. Faces pocked by grape shot, center portions blown apart by shells, arms, legs, and heads missing. Of course, for decency I will spare you the condition of my own mortal form, but know that it is forever marred. This is not the first time we have been buried. On the first morning after the battle, strong rains fell. They washed away the pittance of soil that the Yankees had covered us with. Then the hogs came. With much rooting and prying, these tusked demons have undone the work of the burial parties a countless number of times. I must admit that these Federals, bastards as they are, have shown persistence and true Christian diligence in seeing to the rest of so many planters' sons. Indeed, there have been times when I have felt my soul fading away from this world as the dirt holds me in its bosom, to where I cannot say, but it is my belief that God is merciful, I should hope to be in his arms soon, sweet Eliza, and wait for you and for your arrival in the host's company. But there is a problem. I fear these hogs will not leave us be. As the sleep of death, final and certain, starts to take me, I shudder and am awoken again by the sounds of digging, a scratching from hell that is above instead of below. These trenches are as overcrowded as the tenements that blight the north, some 25 men residing in each one, and the hogs have made short work disheveling and unearthing the dead within. We cannot rest easily, and so we linger, spiritually desolate, haggard, and bored. As I write this, I confess to you a great distraction. My men have started to play a game, which distresses me greatly. It is not any form of gambling, something I, as a lifelong Christian, have worked to purge from my ranks, and eschews dice and other means of chance. Truth be told, it can scarcely be called a game, and it is more a mix of low-brow stage theater and those fits of pretend that occupy small children in their middle years before youthful curiosity gives way to more staid interests. What it can be called is loud, obnoxious, and bordering on desecration, all issues which I have communicated to no avail. For posterity, I will record the workings of a typical round, less for your benefit and more for the scrutiny of any higher powers that may wish to preempt, or at least punish, its play in the great hereafter. For surely it is true that the devil plies sloth and dereliction for evil purposes. To play, you must first have men. The 28th Virginia is a proud regiment, steeped in Southern values and Christian ethic. I am somewhat disappointed to report that my men now fraternize with Yankees, inasmuch as haints who float through the rocks, trees, and damnable fences can do so. The group now playing includes 16 of the 28th, a mix of mostly privates and corporals, 2 Yankee artillery commanders from the battery that rained down fire on our heads, and at least 5 Yankee privates. If it must yet be said, the men must be deceased and unburied. This rather grim fact is integral to play, as you will see. A preponderance of famished wild hogs is a must, though I suppose one could substitute dogs, wolves, coons, or other carrion beasts of the ground. I do not think scavenging birds would be sufficient, as keeping up with them would require flight. Dead men, apparently, are still bound to the earth as live men. The men are divided into squads, 2 men for each single hog, though there are no formal teams, as in the Yankee sensation of long bats and small balls, an equally nonsensical pastime, if I'm to be frank. Within these squads, it is one man's job to spook their assigned hog through some means which I do not yet understand and have not yet been explained to me, despite my offhanded queries, attempts to pull rank, and downright pleading. It seems though no living soul on this battlefield, not the Yankee burial details attending to our earthly remains, the scavenging Yankee soldiers, nor the local farmers can perceive our presence. Largely, the hogs ignore us as well. These men, many of whom succumbed hours prior to myself, while I, of course, held out hope of seeing you again, dear Eliza, have discovered a trick, some ethereal power that I cannot wield, and they are hiding it from me. It is hardly fair, and I fear it reflects poorly on me in regards to my overall rapport with my subordinates. In any event, the other man in the squad has one as the more obtuse task. He follows the hog, sometimes standing upright, but mostly prominently on all fours, placing his body inside the hogs, and endows the creature with a voice, similar to the way a stage actor breathes life into a Shakespearean character. It would seem that each hog is given a new life as man, or whatever coarse caricatured version of a man the soldier acting sees fit to imagine. I have seen the likes of General Lee imitated poorly, his slow Virginian drawl emanating from a hog's porcine belly. General Pickett is also a frequent target of this poor man's satire, and for him I can only feel sorry. The men have been truly cruel in their assessment of his merit, presence of command, and manhood. It is all in good humor, I tell myself, a soldier's brief respite from the field, but I must admit that I have never seen anything quite so silly and juvenile. At least a few instances of scuffles have broken out as a result of play. When one of the deceased Yankees leaned too heavily into his portrayal of Lee, for example, there were fierce words exchanged, which escalated into insults implicating mothers, wives, and further attempts at a ghostly whooping. Spectral fists pass harmlessly through faces, crotches, and other regions. Though they could not harm each other, I felt it my duty to wave my saber menacingly and remind them of the chain of command. Eventually, the burial details finished their work at the top of the hill where the cannoneers fell, laying the offending Yankee to rest, and with him the argument. There have been several rounds of this game played over the course of many days of heavy rains, entombing and re-entombing of corpses by the Federals and wildlife activity. The men who play have christened this ground Hogsburg, and during the nights when the hogs hold high feast among the carnage, the laughter and excitement is riotous. I have implored my soldiers settle down, even enlisting the help of a chaplain who apparently joined the ranks of the dead when his head was carried away by a shell. His attempts to gesticulate some sense into my wild company have mostly been cause for further insult and farce. Earlier this morning, which I believe to be the 5th day of my unrest, the crack of rifle fire could be heard echoing from the town. Thinking our boys had doubled back to raise hell on the complacent Federals, my entire company stood to attention and cheered. Alas, it was only a few local hunters shooting the hogs. Thank goodness. In what I hope will be a final push, a nurse from some Yankee organization called the Sanitary Commission arrived today near our pit. The look on her face was one of pure disgust and horror as the diminutive varmints in the area ripped apart the dead bodies before her very eyes. I believe I saw her vomit. She admonished the Federal details for their slow and slipshod work, which, combined with the destruction of feral hogs in the area, will hopefully contribute to our permanent internment. I do not know what is next for me and the men. May our Creator be merciful and gracious and welcome our souls to the next world, where there will be no pain, no strife, and hopefully no Hogsburg. I think of you constantly, my dearest wife, with everlasting love. Samuel. P.S. They still refuse to tell me how they spook those hogs. How in tarnation do they do it?
I desperately want to hear Sam Waterson read.
Right? I really need someone with a southern accent to read that.
Yeah. I don't know.
If Tyler Peterson had been here, I would have asked him to read it. But
yeah. Who does Ken Burns usually get to read for like the Southern generals and stuff?
Oh, I don't know.
I know Sam Waterson is always like the distinguished like Northern gentleman.
Oh, Shelby Foote, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, I was thinking of him kind of with the guy like waving the saber around and shit, because he always talks about how he likes to wave, he's like, well, I have, a saber from a Confederate officer and I like to wave it around sometimes just to do it or whatever.
What is that? Brandon, what is that?
Oh, man. Oh, man, the mask.
The mask.
Oh, shit.
Just doing a little carving.
Okay. Need a knife?
Not menacing.
Nice.
I also somehow have a knife at my computer desk. If you need one. Harrison, I got you, dude.
Oh yeah. Mine's a free little Swiss Army knife. I don't know where my real knife went.
I used to have a toy gun by my desk, but I don't know what happened to it. But I don't keep any real weapons too close to me when I'm writing because I'd probably use them.
Your words are the weapons.
I mean, I keep this thing when I'm working on my sculpting,
Shit.
but
That looks like some dental hell tools.
Do you know how to I might ask you something later. There's something sketchy.
Okay, you're gonna wait.
it doesn't sound sketchy at all.
It's just wound care. It's all. Anyway, whatever. I'm good.
Sika, I think you're up next.
Oh, yeah. So I just scrolled through my blog and found some random shit. Hopefully
Awesome.
that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Take it
Cool.
away.
Okay. This first one I wrote in 2017 for my friend was in college at the time and was doing some interesting project she wanted me to write for. So it's a little sad. And it's not my usual writing style. I think I originally wrote it as like one big long run-on sentence that I randomly ended up throwing punctuation in, so I'll just jump into it. It's called Old Phone, like a digital shrine or something. 1.7 megabits of space used for a photo you're not even in, but I'm pretty sure you were with me when I took it, so I can't get rid of it. I think I can hear you laugh in that photo I took on accident, and it may hurt too much to listen to it, but I have to keep it because I can't make more. I deleted all of our texts after you died, and someone else has your number now, but I still talk to them sometimes. Last signed in 342 days ago shouldn't be so surprising, but it still feels surreal, yet I don't dare unfriend you because what if I change my mind? While making collages for your funeral, your friend sent me photos of a version of you that I had never met but would have liked to. Felt guilty and unwelcome viewing all your memories on a screen like they were meant for me. I think a lot about all the pictures I could have taken but didn't. I take a lot more photos and videos of people now because what if they died too? And the rest of these are all going to be like so stupid
I
in
love that.
comparison.
I love
Thank
that
you.
a lot.
I like that one so much.
Thanks. This one has kind of a long title. It's called Extreme Self-Deprecation is Only Funny If You Say Whatever After Inhaling a Bunch of Helium and Smashing a Pie in your own face after squeezing yourself into a comically small car and driving off never to be seen again.
Is that a pop punk song?
Huh?
Is that a pop punk song?
No, but I'll join a pop punk band and you can join.
Yes. Oh my
Okay.
god.
Feel weird reading things I've written because I usually don't remember writing anything, and it's like dunking my head into a cauldron of mud. No, it's not. It's nothing like that. I would know. I've never been to a Dave & Buster's, but I hope to die inside of one. No, I don't. I don't know who invented the miniature shopping carts designed for children at the supermarket, but I'm ready to fucking fight, buddy. Pick a time and place. I'll see you there. Bash your skull in with a miniature shopping cart while releasing an ear-piercing scream, just like the kids at the supermarket. This one is called Very Important Things. I think it is very important to make your bed every morning, even if you don't do anything else for the rest of the day. Even if you crawl right back into bed you just made, the act of making your bed in the first place is important. I also think that picking cats up correctly and supporting them in the right places is important. I think it's important to bash your head against the sidewalk 6 times every Tuesday. I think it is important to also file your teeth into points so you look like a shark or something. I'm currently asking myself what else I think is important. I'll get back to you when I think of more things. This is a shitty poem I wrote while I was waiting for a package from the UPS guy. It's called And Then. Going to politely fight the UPS driver when they get to my house. Excuse me, sir, are you interested in a fight? And then we will take turns hurling packages at one another until we are too tired to throw anything else. And then a sad slow motion fight will follow, each of us throwing weak and easy to dodge punches until we both collapse on the ground. Good night, UPS driver. Good night, Sika. And then we curl up together under the running UPS delivery vehicle for warmth and fall asleep. And then the last short poem I have is called Back Pat Pat Back. When you have anxiety, it is good to be proud of yourself for little things. Today I passed a semi-truck on the highway and didn't die. Today I wasn't arbitrarily arrested by the police for a crime I did not commit. No one punched me in the face for being redundant. These are all tiny victories and accomplishments. I should pat myself on the back so hard I dislocate my shoulder, and then I will laugh and pop it back into place. Another back pat worthy accomplishment. I will repeat this cycle of dislocating and relocating my shoulder over and over again, forever until I die. The end.
Those were fantastic. I've said it before, but you know that I really dig your poetry, and I really dig the way it's so like intimate and personal, and yet like so deeply conversational in the way it's written. It really does feel like a really close friend confiding their most absurd thoughts to you. The first poem, like fucking, it killed me. That was really, really brutal and very sad. And
I'm sorry.
the other ones were hilarious though.
Thank you. Yeah, I definitely try and write stuff that's a little bit more like sad, but sadness you can laugh at, because that's kind of, I guess, what I try and do with my own sadness in a way.
I hear you.
Yeah. But thank you so much. You guys are making me blush.
Oh, thank you so much for reading.
Yeah, I'm glad I could. It's been too long since I've been able to make one of these, so I'm glad I was free tonight.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. It's fun because I don't think like anyone but Rudy and I can make all of these, but it's great to see like people rotate in and out and come and go. It's always nice when we get like a return visit from someone. And I see Patrick actually, I think Patrick just joined. Are you with us, Patrick?
Yes, I am here now.
Cool. And you had a piece that you wanted to read. You actually sent me the link in advance, so this will be the first piece where I can share the link in the chat. There we go. Okay, yeah, it's all yours if you're ready.
All right. I actually read a part of this during the very first Misery Tourism Misery Loves Company stream. I read the third part of it. I'm going to read the entire thing now. The poem is called The Trial of Moloch and Dionysus. 1. I am seated upon my forefathers' throne of wrought, their putrid crown brandished proudly atop my shame and coxcomb. All around me the west burns and how her foundations crumble. I revel in the chaos. I can thank my mother for that. A Ronin without a home, a stationary drifter, the world's disenfranchised son. I am the forever nomad. The weatherman on the radio today predicted an impending demographic winter. Forecasts look bleak. I think of my son and all that I should be able to promise him but cannot. I think of my brothers and the struggles they will have to endure. I think of my grandparents and how they have become strangers to this brave new world. I think of myself and all that I have accomplished and all that I will accomplish, and I cannot help but laugh. I laugh constantly and uncontrollably. Inside my head, I am always laughing. I know not what I ought to know, and I behave in a manner which one should not behave in. In your palace walls, O mighty king, do you know what I know? I am free and I am alive. I am so joyfully alive. Seraphim hymnals, Piety's prayer, a cacophony of lamentations, gnashing teeth and the clack of whips. Solomon's choir, perched in the rafters, is singing for us. Specters of Usonia dance along the walls like shadows cast by flames. 3 large cracks spiderweb across the worn, scuffed marble floor, starting off at the furthest western corner of the room, splintering off south, north, and east, and then upwards towards the ceiling. The tapestries along the wall have been seared, charred, faded with no discernible images to be made out. Maroon silken drapes, so dark they seem almost black, trimmed with gold lace speckled by fire opal, hang over the 8 glass-paned windows on both sides of the chamber. I don my priest robe and my jester mask, the mummer king adorned in motley. The presence of the day, the month, the year surround me as I am seated on my diamond-plated throne. Behind me stands Vishnu. His many arms are wrapped around my chest. I can feel his bloodlust through the tip of each of his thousands of fingers pressed firmly against me. There is Keket to my right, surrounded by a swirling black chaos with a Cthulhu heart, a Mayat mouth, eyes of Saturn, and hands like an army of frogs. To my left, seated on the armrest of my throne, is Freya. Brisingamen pressed against her breast. A horned helmet hides her sun-bleached hair. Spring is in attendance, bedecked with flowers, as well as Summer, who wears a garland of spear-like ripened grain. Next to Summer is Autumn, with feet reddened with grape juice, followed by Winter, who has hoarfrost in his hair. Today stands across the room, always attentive to the present. Next to him, his squire Tomorrow, built like a beanpole, young and spry. The elder Yesterday stands behind the two. His sterling silver beard, a matted and tangled mess, hangs down to his navel. On his arms is Utopia in all her beauty. An iridescent shawl drapes slightly off her one shoulder and then slips to the other. In shuffles and clanks, the chain gang made up slowly of Moloch, whose horns have been sheared clean off, and Dionysus, who is muttering madness and somehow has managed to put himself into a drunken stupor. They take their place next to each other in the dock at the front of my throne, heads high in the protest of the conviction they know is to come. What rain of frogs has drowned the senses of the world and turned us into dull, mindless beasts of burden. 2. Now begins the arraignment of Moloch, Moloch, Milcom, Malcolm, Baal. Please step forward. You who are utter filth, solitude, and ugliness. What do you have to say for yourself? Moloch, the false idol of man. Moloch, the bear and the bull. Moloch, the devourer of children. Moloch, who sits on top of the power hierarchy. Moloch, whose soul is electricity and banks. Moloch, who bathed millions in fire. Moloch, the purveyor of infants. Moloch, the machinations of war. Moloch, whose blood is running money. Moloch, whose hope caused poverty. Moloch, who killed agraria. Moloch, whose state is illegitimate, bulldozed homes and new settlements. Men loaded up like sardines and shipped around the world and back again in oaken boxes. Remote control murder. Dead children's transplanted from shore to shore. An endless stream of dearth. Moloch, whose concrete fields of grasses transformed our landscape. Moloch, whose spiraling skyscrapers of steel light up the night. Moloch, whose poison breath warms up the earth. Moloch, whose piss causes the oceans to rise. Moloch, whose flaming lights of green, yellow, and red control our lives. Moloch, whose smiling is endless daylight. Moloch, whose agents read my every thought. Moloch, whose satellite track my location. Moloch, who watches me through my camera.
The more Muslims feel sad, the more ISIS feel that they can recruit them. The more United States appears to be.
I let that one go for just a little while just because it was so thematically appropriate, but sorry
Yeah.
about the troll.
No, it's okay. Moloch, whose agents read my every thought. Moloch, whose satellite tracks my location. Moloch, who watches me through my camera. Moloch, whose freedom is the eye of Horus. Moloch, whose servers are filled with secrets. Moloch, in whom men die lonely. Moloch, who plays sex in my pocket. Moloch, who praises the harlot. Moloch, who lets Lilith run free. Moloch, who calls this abuse liberation. Moloch, who replaced the father. Moloch, the castrator of men. Moloch, whose finger act like separate government. Moloch, whose eyes are TV screens. Moloch, whose stream of consciousness supplies the teleprompters of the elites. Moloch that dictates our language. Moloch, whose dialectic is silence. Moloch that shut the Overton window. Moloch, who has separated church from state. Moloch, whose feet trample dissidents. Moloch, whose wealth is comprised up of stem cells. Moloch, whose sex rips babies from wombs. Moloch, the ever-lover of carnality. Moloch, whose hymnals have brought us below replacement. Moloch, in whom we praise the hydra of our enemy. Moloch, whose hands guide us into the night. Moloch, whose feasts are prepared with bugs. Moloch, whose stomach is a trash can filled with rotting meat and produce. Moloch, whose ribs are starving children. Moloch, whose tears run through lead-lined pipes. Moloch, whose mind is woke capital. Moloch, Moloch, Milcom, Malcolm, Baal, concrete pods, reverse gentrification, 11 to 13 degree angled toilet seats, humans caged above robot work zones, stucco houses made of ticky-tack, identical exits, endless potholes, little sex pots, androgynous use, an arrangement and a conviction, guilty, guilty, guilty. You have been found guilty of all things evil, sentenced to die by the hands of the young, which you have so casually cast into the flames. Liberation, lost generations, a new guiding hand for lemmings. No longer shall we be led off the cliff to our deaths. A two-sided blade, endless rivers of blood, baptism and hellfire, the salvation of our great state. Your death shall lead to death, and that death shall lead to paradise lost. The grind of hard labor, the hardship of the proletariat, the toil of serf and sweeper, the tale of common things. Your tawdry rule is ended, the charges have been read, the guillotine is sharpened, the method of your execution set. There will be no flowers at your grave, no tears wept in mourning, no bidding farewell, the celebrations of tomorrow, sung by cherubs and children, and down you shall go on the American river. Moloch's demise was swift. His head rolled across the floor. Vishnu quickly moved to pick it up and set it at my feet, who had left us for dead in the shadows of Nubia with not a light to guide the way. 3. No, wailed Dionysus. I am Dionysus. I am Bacchus. I have done nothing to deserve this. All I have brought this world are pleasures and ecstasies. Drink, drugs, sex, highs, hallucinations, hysteria, lunacy, hysteria, mania, lunacy, orgasm, soma, nothing but fulfilled desires, complete relief. I am the reason that the whores and the harlots are half price. Who do you think has convinced the priest's daughters to give it up for free? I was the one who passed the Communications Decency Act. I lifted you up out of your Puritanism and brought you into the modern world. I am Janet Jackson's teat. I am the hot-blooded romance of Hollywood. I am the reason there is a bar on every corner and why you can buy marijuana at a dispensary. I am happy hour and $1 drink wells. I help cultivate the tobacco fields when they grow, and I am he who compels the gas stations to sell cigarettes at the lowest price allowed by the state. I am the soldiers in Arabia who guard the poppy fields. I am the doctor who so carelessly prescribes the world opium. Who do you think it was who made the alcohol you drink so strong? I am the preservatives in your food that make them taste so good. I am the delivery boy who brings you dishes from a different culture every night of the week. I am the aisles in your supermarket overflowing with food. I am the sugar in your dessert. I am pornography on demand. I am the normalization of sex dolls. It is I who causes every vibrator to shake, and I am the one who pleasures the cam whores you love to donate your money to online. How else do you expect to get your satisfaction out of the power process? I am the catalyst for your money to cause an orgasm. I am the caffeine in your coffee and the estrogen in your milk. I have modified the genetics of all your produce so the yield is greater and the taste are more pronounced. I am the cheap labor that drives the prices of your food so low. I am every microbrewery, brewery, and whiskey bar in your city. I can keep the whores warm in the winter. I was the one who stained your aunt's lips red with wine and the dog that your father has trained to fetch him beer. I am the degeneracy that has brought you all such pleasure, the serotonin and dopamine that fire off inside your head, the uncontrollable laughter when you are high, every fractal you see when you trip, and the light shows that play on your eyelids when you shut them. If I am guilty of anything, I am guilty of bringing people joy in a world of suffering and nothing more. What need do I have to read you of your charges if you so proudly boast about them yourself? Dionysus joined Moloch in front of my throne. The chamber is silent. Everything reeks of blood. The trial has ended. This was a kangaroo court. 4. In walk the fates. They say they are here to clean up the mess we have made. I am glad for it. I want to wipe my hands clean of this bloody ordeal. Outside, the people cheer. They do not know the toll that was paid. Gravestones line the streets. Crows fill the trees and perch on the roof of every building. All of Moloch and Dionysus' followers died with them. What a mess we have made. We will be cleaning up after ourselves for decades, and when we are done cleaning, we will forget. We will forget and we will repeat. We have done this before, thousands of times, an endless cycle. Finished.
Wow. I especially loved the end of that piece. Like, and I like how it, like, I love shit that's simultaneously really urgent and contemporary, and on the other hand, like mythic in scope. I wondering, was this written like in some ways as either a satire of Howl or a response to Howl, or were you inspired?
Yes. Yeah, I was reading Howl when I wrote it. Actually, I really like Allen Ginsberg. I really like Allen Ginsberg because he's like kind of the polar opposite as what I am, and it's really difficult for me to find someone that makes me feel ire like he does. And I really like that about him, that he can move me in such a way. And so I was motivated by that to write my own response.
As someone who's also not a fan of Ginsberg at all for reasons that might be different than yours, I appreciate that. But yeah, no, and it is great though. It's great when like literature can move us to like make us furious, right? I don't know how many times I've read something and been like, I fucking hate this. Now I want to write.
Yeah, I get that with Ginsberg a lot. It's a big motivator reading something that pisses me off. I don't know. I grew up writing copy pasta on 4chan. I think that might be where it comes from.
Oh my God, what's your favorite copy pasta? Because I had someone, okay, can I share a quick funny story? Do you guys know about like the whole like, you like that, you fucking retard, like thing from Reddit?
Yes.
Okay, so that kind of happened. I was like, yeah, talk to Raheem, man. I'm just like, piece of shit. That was hilarious. Okay, to me. Anyway, I left. Wow, no one else left. Okay.
Oh.
I really like the second verse of that. How hard it goes. Basically, I don't really know any other way to put it. I feel like after every line, I wanted to just sing like "We Didn't Start the Fire" or something like that, because it's so like lyrical and so flowing. It flows together so well.
Oh, thank you. All right. If no one has anything else, I'd like to say one thing. You can buy that in hard copy next year through Terror House Press. My book will be out. It's called Spectres of Saturn.
And this is a poetry collection?
Yes, it's a collection of poems.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Let me know when that comes out. Shoot me a DM or something, and I'll make sure to give it a little bit of a signal boost on Twitter. So anyone who's been listening to you read or who's read your work that we've published too can maybe pick up a copy or at least take a look.
Yeah, awesome. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for reading, Patrick. Does anyone else want to read? We're probably closing in on maybe when we'd be winding down, but certainly if anyone wants to read, they can. I was thinking, oh, Bibles, do you want to read?
I
You
do.
You have your baby right now.
I can't.
No, that's okay. I just saw your mic go unmuted. Sorry about that, man. If
No,
nobody
I
wants,
do want to, but I don't think I'll have time to
yeah,
right now. I mean,
I
maybe
understand.
we'll see how things go.
Yeah. Well, hey, there's always next week, right?
Always tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Okay, you do it.
So anyway, does anyone else want to read? If not, I might read a short piece from a while ago. Ryan's just do it. Okay. This is a very short kind of flash fiction-y piece that I wrote, I don't know, years and years ago and put up on the site a while ago. It's kind of a silly little reworking of the Divine Comedy. So, I guess I'll read it. Okay, 1 second. Okay. The Comedy Beyond Hope. With apologies to Dante Alighieri, the saints, the penitent, and all of the damned. 1. Dante dreams of a return to hell. Somewhere in his home in Florence, there is a scrap of paper. On the paper is a poem he wrote years ago, before his exile. He searches for it now, on his hands and knees, in the mud, while the gluttons lie at his feet, blind. All he finds are the empty hands of men, who are stacked atop each other, endlessly beneath him, mixed with the sludge. He wonders if the whole of hell is made of groping dead men, all the way to the core. Maybe he had imagined all the circles. He tries to recall Satan's face, but he cannot. He sees 3 mouths, but they are empty. He goes to the river to wash the dirt from his hands. The waters of the Styx are clean, and no men drowned there. Beatrice stands at the opposite shore, undressing. He walks across the surface of the water, and when he reaches her, she is putting back on her clothes. She asks him to follow her, but they lose each other in the wood. In frustration, he tears at the bark of the tree beside him, and its sap oozes white. The tree does not moan. It has no story to tell him. I should return to the vestibule, he thinks. Virgil must be waiting for me there. He walks for hours, but never finds Limbo again. Part 2. A celebrated revolutionary seeks absolution in purgatory. Every night, the streets fill with young men and young women. He can hear the chanted slogans as he lies uncomfortably on his mattress. A spring digs at the musket ball that sits under the skin at the small of his back. He can smell the smoke through the open window, and occasionally a bit of ash will settle on his tongue. In a dream, he sees his mother, fresh from church with a gray cross on her forehead, and she offers him a glass of water that is too cold for him to swallow. In the morning, he stands in front of the soap-stained bathroom mirror and counts the bullet wounds in his chest as he buttons his shirt. The rope burns are still on his wrists. He drives to the bodega that he has no memory of buying and greets his wife, who he has no memory of marrying. All morning, he sweeps the broken glass from the floor. His wife is on the phone with the insurance company. She hangs up, smiling. Don't worry, she tells him. They will pay for everything. Part 3, and this is the last part. The neurotic passes an eternity in heaven. When he was a child, his mother kept an Afghan at the foot of her bed. Unfolded, it became immense, much larger than the bed, larger perhaps than the bedroom. He would open it and drape it across the room, suspending it from bedposts and curtain rods, even from the unused clothes hangers in the small closet beside the bureau. In his imagination, it was a massive pastel spider web. Lying beneath it in the mid-afternoon, he would feel a rare sense of contentment that was nothing like the terror that would consume him each night when he was alone in his room, clinging desperately to wakefulness, thinking about death and how similar it must be to sleep. His fear could not reach him there, in that space, for that moment. It was stuck, like a fly, to the outside of the web, squirming impotently. He could not even hear its buzz. He was safe. If I died right now, he would think, that would be fine. I could die, and it would be okay. And that is how you can find him now, here in paradise, in repose on his back, with nothing to see above him, always awake, at peace with a death that will never come. And that's it. I'm done.
Holy fucking shit, that was amazing. I love the structure of it and just the way you delivered that I could die and that would be okay. That was, you know, you put up with me, but then I forget that you're an amazing writer. Holy fuck.
Yeah, like cheers, dude. Cheers.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that was great, man.
I appreciate it. The last part of that is very much based on personal experience, and the other two parts are just, but yeah. Anyway, does anyone else want to read?
I know. Can I ask, why,
Yeah.
the process was I know this is just a lame question, but I love when people explain how do you pick
Yeah.
three?
Actually, that piece was the first two parts of it were written separately with no intention of it being a kind of trilogy.
That's the best kind. No intention.
The first one I wrote for a blog that I had a while ago, kind of during a time when Misery Tourism was on hiatus, after we published, Rudy and I published our collection of games, but before we rebooted the site with a more kind of diverse focus. And it was during a period where I was my goal was I was really fed up with the fact that I'd always be trying to write something long and I'd never write fucking anything. So I had this few month period where I was I'm going to write one short, self-contained little flash piece every day. I don't care if it's a one stanza poem, or if it's like a 300-word little story or something. I'm going to write one self-contained piece every day that just stands alone. And that way there was no sense of constantly starting and walking away from things. So that was, I don't remember at all exactly what's inspired the first one, the Dante one. And the second piece, I think I wrote during that same period later. And that was during a period of real political disillusionment. I very, very much a really gung-ho kind of leftist during my early adulthood, and I went through a period of real disenchantment and disillusionment with politics in general, and that piece was kind of written as a response to that. And the last piece was written when I decided to put the first two pieces up on the website, and I was well, how do these two fit together? And then I thought, well, we've got hell, we've got purgatory, so we have to write a piece about heaven. And that was well, how the fuck did I'm so used to writing really really negative pieces, whether it's like dark satirical pieces or existential angst bullshit, I'm not used to writing positive uplifting pieces. So I was what would an uplifting piece even look like that I'd want to write, that I would feel was honest, And I remember being a kid and doing that. My mom had this this massive Afghan on the end of her bed, and I would take it and I would hang it all. My sisters and I would take it and we'd hang it all over the room, and then we'd like hide under it and pretend it was a tent or a spider web or whatever. And I remember, like, I have a distinct memory when I was in my early teens. I had terrible insomnia because I had this moment of like realization about death when I was like 12, because my parents would always tell me, like, or my mom in particular, who's like devoutly Christian, would always be like, you know, you accept Jesus into your heart and then you die and you go to heaven. And that's it. And it was like, oh, that's comforting. But I had this moment when I was in my early teens when I was like, well, what if that's not it? Like, what if it isn't? And that thought was like so paralyzing to me. Like the thought of death became this thing that really consumed me, and would keep me up at night. So anyway, I had that memory of like lying under that Afghan and just like feeling content, just feeling in the middle of the day, right? In the full light of day, and not feeling like death could get at me, not feeling like my anxieties could get back at me. And so I was like, well, what about that as a kind of like version of heaven? And it's a little like ironic, because like to be finally like free of death forever because heaven is real, and to have the only thing you want is to not have to be afraid of death anymore, you know? Anyway, so that I rambled a little bit, but that was
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, no, that was incredible.
No, we love it when you talk.
Yeah, definitely. I'm holding my beer up to my webcam that is not turned on to cheers you.
Thank you. Yeah. Anyway, does anyone else want to read, or should I kind of wrap up the reading part? As usual, I'll leave the.
I would like to actually try.
Oh, awesome! Bibles, you're free. Great, yeah. Awesome, Bibles. Take it away, man.
Okay, hold on. Hold on. I have to move my car. Oops. Okay. Can you hear me okay? Oh, hold on.
Sorry, I had just muted my mic. Yeah, you sound great.
Yeah.
Okay.
This makes me think of the guy that parks behind my store all odd hours of the night, just sitting there on the phone doing something. Never know what.
I think you're gonna. I don't think I'm gonna be able to. I don't think you're gonna be able to see me. Tell me, can you see me now?
I can imagine you though.
Okay, you can't see me.
I
Okay.
can't see you anymore.
No.
I could before, but you're gone now. I can still hear you.
All right. Just gonna try this. Let's see. Let's just try this. Okay. My seed is potent. My children both strong and smart. This second one could be a redhead. It's too soon to tell. That's not saying he's not mine. I have a redheaded uncle, and my mom's hair is streaked through with red as well. She says that it got worse with each pregnancy, and I'm like, Mom, this is my son we're talking about. Nobody's saying he's redhead. It's just the pictures are persuasive. It's almost like his skin is of their skin. Don't call him a ginger snap, Senior Ferdinand, this little Bardamoo. Don't call him a ginger. Don't call him a fire crotch. He's having a hard time of it. His indigestion is torturous. It's hard being a parent. Big man on campus. Breaking young girls' hearts. A betta on the top shelf. PetSmart sells them for like $2. She wanted to keep the light on. She's got a little Ariel in there with it. Oh, a beta. She wanted to keep the light on. She's got a little Ariel in there with it. She says that it protects the fish. She had originally wanted to keep the Ariel for herself. I yelled the fuck out of her. We're not meant to be their friends. It comes a point where you've got to man up and lay down the law. These are horses. They're animals. They don't know the world. They'll have your responsibilities in time. Today, they're unwittingly attached to yours. Because of them, you must act like this upon them and for them. This is a school for managers, as the dog was for parenting. Here now we've got a new little cutie. The first one becomes uglier. Such a hassle. Practically dangerous. Just deal with it, babe. I'm tired. I'm taking care of the baby. When she first came into this life, it was a mommy, daddy, baby world. We're all coming to accept the reality of our situation. It's an adjustment. These are the moments when lives are ruined, the makings of men. When you accept responsibility, step up and save your home. You're the head of the household, chosen by God to be king. Yeah, sure, your wife wears the pants in the relationship, but you've got the dick, and you've got the beard, and long live the queen. I wanted to make my own way in this world. I wanted to tell her, no, I've got writing to do. I'm married to my work. But then shit happens. Gremlins are popping off of you like fountain works on the 4th of July. You're telling her that we had talked about stopping it too, and she's getting mad at you for getting so nervous. This is how they get you. They lay the hooks in. They take down your defenses and keep moving forward. She's got the bug. Babies are so cute. She wears the pants in this relationship. It's not like I'm going out and getting secret vasectomies. Maybe it's all I'm good at. Popping out children. Powerful seed. Doesn't take much to start a fire with this flint. I wish the sister-in-law could see it. Any of them. For the hell of it. But especially for the twin. She wants children so badly. Anyone can see that. She'd like to be more than a godmother. She'd like some immaculate conception. I wanted to make my way in this world. I wanted to tell her, oh, what? That's weird. That pussy ain't gonna cock itself. That gash came ripping through the pages of your coming-of-age romp ain't gonna cock itself. It needs that man mustard. She wouldn't dare let you congeal the spout of your magic mayonnaise, twisting tubes and snipping semen channels, and you've got to keep that twin in mind. I mean, she's desperate. Nobody really wants to adopt. It's just not in the cards for her when there is a viable, potent, and over-jazzed up jazz brother-in-law just whacking himself wasted in the apartment just miles down the freeway. Hold on just a second. Just miles down the freeway. Nobody has to know. I've got a public channel. My words, my beautiful words, they get plastered all over the internet. And when I say internet, I of course don't simply mean the screen that you stare at over fucking 8 hours a day. No, I'm talking on paper because I'm one of the lucky ones. I know people, and these people know people who have money. And this money, that's how you load the cannon. I told you when we started this little spiel that I am an inspirational writer, on par and at the level of Carlos Castaneda and Rafael Marietta. And you didn't believe me. You thought, wow, this pipsqueak, he's like a Stephen King wannabe. He's a Patterson poser. He should just stick to modeling robes and brushing teeth. Well, little did you know he could change your whole life with one long, swooping sentence flowing over the man mustard and macho mayo of egg-laden chemistry. You go to bed with one wine bottle too many, and you wake up in a world of wicked perversity. You're stuck sludging around in a sewer of capital P trouble. Watch it, cowgirls. This boy's a heartbreaker. Watch it, slugger. This girl's a tough nut to crack. She hasn't been around us recently, the twin. She had a COVID scare. Her husband works contracting with someone who contracted it. I think she's giving us a courtesy 2 weeks. I wouldn't be so nervous if it wasn't for the newborn, but we're taking him to the car dealership today anyways. Daddy's got to get a new car. And when I say new, I mean new. 2021. I want my car to take care of me. I want lane assist. I want assistive cruise control. I want to save my family. I'm trying to protect them from myself. I want Apple CarPlay. Is it too much to ask? Do you know how much I've been through? I may have only put in 1 year at the steel shop, but I've been cutting my way through a long career of writing. And I am my father's son. I did grow up within that household. I deserve the merch, the memorabilia. I am entitled. I am the heir, the #1 son, the one and only. It may not be a Beamer, but it is that really so bad? Is that really how you want to define your life? You got to pick the right car for your situation. A 2021 is a little out of my budget, not going to lie, if we're talking Beamers here. And I want to be able to maneuver as best as possible in the snow. I want a high clearance. I want good gas mileage. I've still got poor man mentality. I know where I stand with this family. I'm the Prince of Steel. You think I've got time to add another occupation to my heavy list of work that eats up my day? You've got another thing coming. I'm going to have to work until 5 every day just to pay this car off. I want a house still. We need one. Maybe a townhome. We've just got to get out of here. We've got to escape from apartment living. All right. I'll just end it there.
I love the sense of like, I love it when you read because I feel like I'm learning intimate details about your life. I feel like I'm on one, like I just have this kind of craving to get like another just snapshot into the Bible's universe, right? And find out what's going on because you're so unflinchingly and like gruesomely honest about like the kind of private thoughts that we all have, that it does. I don't know. It's intimate is definitely the word I would use, and I just love hearing like what's going on. You know?
Thank you.
Does anyone else want to? Does anyone else want to read? No? I think it's 10:11. I think I'll call it a night there for the reading, but I will as always, I'll keep the Zoom meeting up for quite a while for anyone who wants to stay and hang out.
Breaks, but they already take them. Yeah.
If you're, nice. If you're watching this at home, I guess I say that if you're watching this at home, everyone's in their fucking home. No one can leave their house right now. But if you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, yeah, maybe you should actually come to one of these and join in. It's every Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern time, 5 p.m. Pacific. You can check us out on Twitter at Misery Tourism. And I'll post a link up there before we start. Everyone's welcome. You can read if you want to read. You cannot read and just lurk if you want to lurk. Anyway, thank you everyone for coming. Thank you for everyone who read. It was a really great night considering I had 0 readers planned when this thing started. So anyway, thank you everyone. Just Jake, Bibles, Patrick, Rudy. Always thank you, Rudy, because you are the only reason Misery Tourism is still going. Thank you, Sikas. Thank you, Eris. Thank you everyone. I know I forgot some people. I'm sorry about that. Anyway, I think call it a night.
Happy full moon.